All right, y'all, we are back with another video. And I definitely had to bring y'all this one. It seemed like President Trump just gutted the federal courts. As y'all can see, President Trump been getting win after win after win. We done seen videos of Chuck Schumer pretty much saying that the Democrats done installed over 200-something judges just to rule against Donald Trump. And remember, that corrupt judge tried to get President Trump and Tom Homan to turn the plane around and drop criminals back in the United States. Like that right there was just crazy to me. So shout out to the Supreme Court for doing a good job saying, you know what, President Trump can continue on with what he's doing, because they tried to use Judge Boasberg. And then we seen that Justice Roberts, that I guess a lot of us thought Justice Roberts was like more on Donald Trump's side, because he's seen that President Trump is trying to follow through with his agenda of making America great again. And it seemed like Justice Roberts then started allegedly taking money from George Soros now, and it just seemed like everything President Trump do, Justice Roberts is ruling against it. Like, how can you rule against this other judge that's pretty much trying to make President Trump drop criminals back off in the United States? How is you siding with that with Judge Boasberg? Like, Justice Roberts, that really pissed me off when he sided with that other judge, because President Trump thought about impeaching him. For that right there is just crazy. So we seen that Justice Roberts ain't no good. Ain't no good at all. The Democrats already got him in their pocket. So it's like, we ain't even gonna worry about that. But let's go ahead and dive straight into this. Because like I said, President Trump is getting more and more wins in courts. And I am glad to see it. Like I said, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Shout out to everybody showing some more support. And shout out to the ones that always stay to the end. It really helped get the video out there. And please let me know in the comment section that you did stay to the end. I would really appreciate it. Without further ado, y'all, let's go ahead and dive straight into this so y'all can see exactly what I'm talking about. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have some absolutely incredible breaking news today. You see, yesterday evening, the House Republicans successfully voted to pass a bill called the, quote, No Rogue Rulings Act. And let me tell you what, this bill changes everything. Now, take a look at this report. Breaking news. House passes historic bill limiting activist judges by razor-thin margin. Republicans just secured a major victory to rein in rogue district courts. The final vote, 218 to 214, with nearly every Democrat opposing judicial reform. The bill curbs the power of individual district judges to block national policies through nationwide injunctions, a tactic frequently used against President Trump and his administration's policies. This marks a significant win for the GOP's judicial reform agenda. Democrats fought hard but came up short by just 4 votes. So folks, needless to say, this bill has the potential to change absolutely everything.
Yep.
As you all know, for months now, President Trump has been getting roadblocked by a never-ending series of hyper-progressive federal judges who have taken it upon themselves to do everything they possibly can to undermine President Trump's constitutionally granted authority. And by the way, that's not just me saying that. Take a look at this.
There are those who believe that we are, in real time, living through an assault on the constitutional order. Do you believe that we are in a constitutional crisis right now?
Yes, our democracy is at risk because Donald Trump shows that he wishes to violate the laws in many different ways.
Chuck Schumer, how in the hell is Donald Trump violating the laws? How is he violating the laws? No, Joe Biden was the one violating the laws. Why you ain't talking about Joe Biden giving all these illegal aliens social security numbers? And they don't even supposed to be here in this country. Thank God the RS finally released that information to President Trump. So now he'll know where to go find these illegal aliens at. So you want to say violated the law? Won't you talk about that? Joe Biden getting these illegal alien social security numbers and us, the taxpayers, have to pay for it. Why you ain't talking about that? Ain't that violating the law? But no, you want to keep talking about Donald Trump violating the law. How? Donald Trump is doing everything he said he was going to do on the campaign trail. Like egg prices down, mortgage, like all of this stuff is coming down, but yet y'all do not want to talk about that at all. Like, this is just crazy to me. Let's go.
The good news here is we did put 235 judges, progressive judges not under the control of Trump last year.
Now listen to this. We put 200-some judges that's not in control. Donald Trump don't need to control any judges. See, that just go to show you what they was doing right there. He's saying that the Democrats put 200-some judges in place to rule against everything Donald Trump is going to try to do. That's exactly what Chuck Schumer just admitted. And a lot of Democrats I seen did not like that he said that because they wanted to keep that in-house. But, you know, Chuck Schumer, he can't keep his mouth shut. So he pretty much just told you everything right there.
On the bench, and they are ruling against Trump time after time.
Yeah, I bet
after
they
time.
is.
So you hear that, folks? That was Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer just plainly admitting that the Democrats have been appointing federal judges for the sole and exclusive purpose of undermining President Trump.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, these radical progressives are about as shameless as they are insane, and that is saying a lot. Now, folks, we have a lot more to talk about today, but first, I want to say real quick that if you guys enjoy the daily news coverage, please consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a ton. But okay, you know what? You know how Chuck Schumer just said that we're facing a constitutional crisis? Is there any truth to that? Well, actually, yes, just not the type that he is talking about. You see, quite literally every single time one of these federal injunctions has made its way to the U.S. Supreme Court, you know what's happened? The Supreme Court has sided with President Trump and his constitutionally granted.
Exactly. They have. They've been siding with President Trump, except the one right there in the middle, old Justice Roberts. He always rooting against Donald Trump. He's always rooting against him. That's the reason why I say, man, Chuck Schumer just be running his mouth. They always want to talk about that Donald Trump is doing something bad, all because Joe Biden was the one that destroyed this country the last 4 years. They are mad at all the information that Elon Musk done found, how they done got so rich. That's why they so mad, because they didn't want that information out. That's why they wanted 4 more years to try to double their net worth. That's what they wanted to do, and that's why they so mad. So like President Trump said, it don't matter what I do, I cannot make these people happy. They're just going to go against everything that I do, all because they don't like them.
Presidential authority. In fact, as a quick reminder, so far the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that President Trump, as the chief executive, can freeze and reallocate federal funding as he sees fit. They also ruled that President Trump does, in fact, have the executive authority to cut DEI out of all federally funded institutions across the nation. And, as of just a couple days ago, they ruled that President Trump does, in fact, have the authority to invoke the Alien Enemies Act and to deport and detain illegal immigrant terrorists that are currently residing within our country. And so, folks, the reason why we just did that little Supreme Court recap is to show that, yes, we do have a constitutional crisis right now. And that crisis is that all of these unelected, hyper-progressive, highly partisan federal judges have been egregiously overstepping their judicial bounds, attempting to undermine the democratically elected president of the United States of America. And so that, ladies and gentlemen, is why this bill that just got passed in the House is so important. But okay, so folks, here's what happens next. Now that this bill has successfully passed through the House, it needs to make its way through the Senate. However, here's the problem. Normally, bills like this require 60 votes in the Senate to pass, and right now the Republicans only have 53 votes. However, there is a maneuver called the nuclear option, which the Senate Republicans could employ in order to get this bill passed with just 51 votes. That said, this nuclear option is incredibly risky because what it would do is effectively change the rules of the Senate going forward such that future bills would also only require 51 votes. So needless to say, while this nuclear option might help President Trump and the Senate Republicans right now, it could very easily backfire in the future if the Republicans were to ever lose control of the Senate. But with all of that being said, it is worth acknowledging that these radically progressive federal judges are currently doing so much damage to our country. Rumor has it that Trump and the Senate Republicans are currently considering going nuclear.
See, that's what I'm talking about right there. It was just so crazy to me that we voted for President Trump. We ain't vote for these corrupt judges. Ain't that crazy that They trying to, these judges, nobody voted for these judges. They trying to stop everything that Donald Trump is doing. And Chuck Schumer already told on them, said, hey, we already installed 200 progressive judges just to rule against Donald Trump. And then these Democrats, see, they can't stop Donald Trump. So now they're going to try to get judges that are Democrats to go against Donald Trump, to try to use judges to stop Donald Trump so they can go on CNN. Oh, Donald Trump promised y'all this and he didn't do it. Donald Trump promised y'all that and he didn't do it. That's what they want to be able to say, and that's why they're trying to use these judges to try to stop him. And it's not working. It's like, no, you ain't finna let no judges stop the president of the United States for doing what he want to do. Like, President Trump is doing everything he said he was going to do, and that's what he's been doing. And they mad.
And so, of course, if they choose to go down that route, we would be risking nuclear backlash from the Democrats at some point in the future. And so the big decision is this. Is this ongoing situation with these hyper-progressive federal judges a big enough issue that it's worth taking a risk with the nuclear option than just sort of shooting from the hip and hoping for the best as we move forward? Or should we try to find another way to disempower all of these progressive federal injunctions? Because keep in mind, it's possible that these federal judges can actually be reined back in by working something through the Supreme Court. But even then, nothing in the Supreme Court is guaranteed either, considering Justice Roberts and Justice Barrett's are pretty much completely unpredictable.
Yep.
Luckily, in the last couple Supreme Court cases, at least one of them has managed to vote in favor of actually putting America first. But really, with these two, all bets are off. There are no promises.
Nope.
So you know what, folks? In the next couple weeks, maybe even the next couple days, we might end up having a solution to this ongoing issue with all of these radically progressive federal judges. The America First movement might just be about ready to go nuclear in the Senate. But in the meantime, at least we can be happy that, as we said earlier, every single one of these federal injunctions that have made their way to the U.S. Supreme Court have actually ended up getting overruled and tossed out. Time and time again, President Trump's America First agenda has been vindicated after getting pressed by all of these radical progressives.
Yep.
Because the reality is, President Trump
and that's what I'm glad to hear. Because like I said, man, we can't be allowing these corrupt judges to try to stop President Trump's agenda. Because we know that they getting paid. We know George Soros got his hand all in the cookie jar. We know he's out here paying everybody, especially these judges that's ruling against Donald Trump specifically on purpose. So these judges don't even care about the American people, because if they cared about the American people, why is these judges fighting for illegal aliens? Why is Jasmine Crock shit, why is she fighting for illegal aliens? Why is AOC fighting for illegal aliens? But did Kamala Harris say that they wasn't supporting illegal aliens? You know why? Because Kamala Harris was lying on the campaign trail. The woman was saying anything she could just to get elected. Thank God she didn't win, because if she win, it'll be illegal aliens everywhere. Still probably taking out American people, and she wouldn't have no care in the world. All she wanted was to be in power so she can keep her friends rich. They always saying that Trump want billionaires to be rich, but ain't it funny that all the billionaires support the Democrats? Almost all the billionaires. Look at the people who supported Kamala Harris on her campaign trail. Almost all the billionaires support the Democrats. So how in the world is Donald Trump trying to make billionaires, more rich when all the billionaires are Democrats that were supporting the Democrats? It's like, come on. These people are just liars. They just say anything to try to fearmonger the American people. That's all it is, just straight fearmongering.
As the authority, and he's using that authority to provide real results to Americans. Which means, ladies and gentlemen, pretty much so far, we've just been winning nonstop. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we all voted for President Trump.
Yep.
Because now, finally, we are putting America first. Now, folks,
All right, salute to Matt Morris. Make sure y'all go subscribe to his channel, Matt Morris TV on YouTube. Let him know that The Real Adogg sent you. I definitely had to check this one out. that President Trump is just getting win after win, and Chuck Schumer, all the Democrats, they are crying bloody murder. They are mad. They are screaming. They running to CNN. They running to MSNBC in tears. Donald Trump is doing this. Why is he doing that? So it just at this point now, it don't matter what Donald Trump do. They're gonna find something wrong. It don't matter what he do. That he can do something right, and they know it's right. Because what I'm saying President Trump doing is right. He's doing everything he said he was going to do. But they're going to find something wrong because they need talking points. So it don't really matter. He can't make these people happy at all. But like I said, thank you all for watching. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.